I'm Audra, empowerment and intuition coach, and this is Unveil You, the podcast where spirituality meets practicality to help you step fully into your power. Each episode, we'll talk about what it really means to align with your higher self, trust your inner knowing, and walk through life with grounded, soul-led confidence. Let's get into it. Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Unveil You podcast. I'm your host, Audra, and today we're talking about one of my favorite mind-body techniques for emotional healing and energetic balance. And this is called Emotional Freedom Technique, or EFT, also known as tapping. I reference this as a technique I use and recommend in mindset shifting constantly. If you've listened to my podcast, you know I'm always talking about tapping or EFT. So I thought it's about time I release an episode on this one so you all know what I'm talking about if you're not familiar, and that you can start to use this tool in your daily life to shift your mindset. So if you've ever found yourself spiraling with anxiety or stuck in emotional pain or even holding tension that shows up in your body, today's episode is going to give you a tool that helps you release all of that right from where you are with just your fingertips. There is no money involved. There is really, you don't even have to believe this stuff works is what's amazing about it. You just have to do the tapping. So we're diving into how EFT works scientifically and energetically, why it's so effective when you're in the middle of strong emotions, how it clears both emotional and physical pain, and I'll also walk you through how to do it step by step. And at the end, I'll share a super simple tap hack for when you need quick relief, whether you're anxious, angry, or just overwhelmed. I will put up front that since I will be demonstrating how to do this, where to tap on your body, this is more of a physical demonstration. This episode is much better viewed via video. So that includes either YouTube or on Spotify, depending on what version you're on. There is video included on Spotify, but I will be descriptive as well in case you aren't able to watch. Like, maybe you're driving and you obviously can't, I would not recommend watching video while you're driving. I will be as descriptive as possible, and feel free to come back and revisit this. All right, let's dive in. So first things first is, what is EFT and what does it do to the mind? So again, EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's a form of energy psychology, which means it works both on the emotional and energetic layers of your being. And here's the basic idea of EFT, is that when we feel triggered or stressed or stuck, our body goes into fight or flight mode. Our brain starts looping old thought patterns, things that we haven't released yet, and our nervous system gets flooded with stress hormones like cortisol and things of that nature. So when you tap gently on certain points of your face and body while talking about how you feel, you're sending calming signals to your brain, specifically to the amygdala, which is the part that processes fear and threat. So instead of staying stuck in that emotional spiral, your brain starts to relearn safety. And because your body feels safe, your subconscious mind becomes open to new thoughts, new beliefs, and new possibilities. It's like you're interrupting the pattern mid-loop and teaching your mind, hey, we don't have to stay in this story anymore. Like, how many times have you been spiraling and you just wish you had a tool to help you calm down, or something in the moment that could work for you? This is it. This is the tool that I have used since childhood. And I can say this is very, very effective in helping stop the spiraling, and you can also get rid of energy not serving you in the moment. So it's really a win-win. And that's why EFT is so powerful for reprogramming. You're not just saying your affirmations, you're physically shifting your nervous system while you do it. So then on the energetic side, we're going to talk a little bit more about chakras, meridians, and why tapping works. So let's talk about what's happening on an energetic level. EFT draws from the ancient Chinese system of meridians, perhaps you've heard of that before, which are energy pathways that run through your body, similar to how electricity flows through wires. When your energy is flowing freely, you feel balanced and calm, but when the flow gets blocked through things such as trauma, stress, suppressed emotion, things like that, you start to feel stuck, anxious, or even physically unwell. The tapping points we use in EFT correspond to these meridian lines, and they also overlap beautifully with the chakra system, which you might already be familiar with. So this is kind of a mix of understanding with chakras and Chinese medicine and acupuncture and all sorts of things kind of all blended together, and but no needles involved. It's literally just tapping. And when I say tapping, I mean as light as this. For those of you not watching, I'm like barely touching my face, just like over and over again with 2 fingers. And again, we're going to go through all of this. I'm just giving you the background first so that you know what the heck we're talking about before we go and do it. So Speaking of then these different points that we tap on, here is the quick breakdown. So first things first is the karate chop point. So this is on the side of your hand. And by the way, it doesn't matter if you're doing this on the left side or the right side of your body, or I tend to keep it consistent. Like I'm right-handed, so I will use like my right hand to do all of the tapping, which means that I'm tapping on my left karate chop spot, since I use my right hand for tapping. But then when I go through the process of the tapping, I'm tapping generally on the right side of my body because that's what my right hand is closest to. Now, again, there is no rhyme or reason for why I'm doing that except for the fact that I'm right-handed. So if you're left-handed, you want to stick to the left side of your body, totally fine. I don't really know if there's any science between like flip-flopping between if you tap on your right side for one spot, then your left side for the other. I don't know, but something in me tells me to stay consistent with one side or the other, but I mean, surely you can do whatever you want there. So anyway, going back to this, the karate chop point. So right on the side of your hand, imagine if you were literally like karate chopping something, it would be the point of your hand that would make contact with that. This part of your body connects to the small intestine meridian, and it's about releasing resistance and self-sabotage. And energetically, it's tied to the solar plexus chakra, the seat of your personal power, just as a reminder. I do have an entire episode on chakras and also how to activate those if you've never done that before through meditation. So if you want more information as I go through, I'm just giving brief little reminders about what each chakra is here. But yeah, if you're more curious, if you go back on my podcast in season 1, I do have an episode on chakras, and there's tons of information out on the internet too if you don't want to listen to that. So anyway, the next point then is the eyebrow point. So that's right here, your inner eyebrow, the inner point of your eyebrow. So that relates to your bladder meridian. It helps you release fear and reconnect to your root chakra, which is the chakra that grounds you in safety. And then next point is we have the side of the eye. So that's the opposite side of your eyebrow, closer to your temple. This connects to the gallbladder meridian. This is where we harbor anger and frustration, and where that lives if you haven't effectively, transmuted that energy or moved through it or released it. So this helps you reclaim your confidence in forward movement. And then next point is going to be under your eye. So just under it where, if you're putting makeup on like concealer, kind of where that point is right there. That's the part under your eye I'm talking about, kind of right where that bone that is just under your eye starts to, you can feel it right there. That's connected to your stomach meridian, and it releases worry and anxiety and opens flow through the sacral chakra, which is the center of your emotion. Then finally, the next point is under your nose. So just between the top of your lip and under your nose, that small point. Some people, this is very, very small and kind of difficult to get to. Other people have more space here, but we just work with what we have. So this is the part where I'm talking about under your nose. That corresponds to your governing vessel. So this balances mind and body and helps you speak your truth. So that is linked to your throat chakra. The next point is your chin point. So this is just under your lip and just above the point of your chin. So I kind of have this indentation here. Some people may or may not have that, but this is the point I'm talking about, right on the high point of your chin, essentially. This relates to your central vessel, so it helps release shame and self-judgment, and this clears space in the heart chakra for self-love. The next point then is your collarbone point. So this is the inner part of your collarbone, and I'm actually being right-handed. I switch over. It's a little bit easier for me than when I go to the points below my face to switch to my left side. So I guess I'm contradicting myself. I do switch sides when I do tapping. So on the face, I kind of keep it all to my right side, and then when I go below my chin, I start to switch to my left side because that's a little bit easier for me. Anyway, so the collarbone point, we're talking about the inner part of your collarbone, kind of close to your sternum, just below your throat. So this is connected to the kidney meridian, and it clears fear and survival stress, which anchors you into the root chakra. And then the next point is under the arm. So this, if you are someone who wears bras, for example, this was a really good way this was put to me. This is the point where that part that wraps around the side of your rib cage is. So right in that spot. So under your arm, maybe if you look at your armpit, maybe down like 4 inches or so. So you are tapping on like the side of your rib cage essentially. That corresponds with the spleen meridian. So this releases worry and people pleasing and emotional overload, which again harmonizes the sacral and heart chakras. And then finally, for purposes of my simple EFT breakdown today, I mean, I, for the record, am not a practitioner in EFT. There's lots of people that I know that are certified in this and they teach it, but I am not that. I am simply somebody who uses this as a tool in my everyday life, and I'm just kind of sharing the long and the short of it, I guess, with you all today without going into too much detail. So for the sake of this episode today, the top of the head is going to be the last point in one cycle of all these points I've been talking to you about. So top of the head, just literally the crown of your head up here. This connects through your literal crown chakra. So it's your energetic integration point, which helps you align with higher consciousness and peace. So when you tap through all of these points, you're literally balancing the flow of energy through your body, which calms your nervous system. And it's emotional, physical, and spiritual regulation, literally all in one. It harmonizes everything together, that metaphysical and the physical, you could say. So now that I've kind of shared with you all the different points, why does this work best when you're emotional? I use it when I'm emotional, especially, and I'm going to share with you why. So this part really surprises people, but again, EFT actually works very best for me and most people that I know that use this when you're emotional. So when you're in that moment of frustration, sadness, or fear, and your body's energy is already in motion, so your energy is really heightened. Like, I like to use this if I'm at a point where I'm like sobbing or crying and can't get a hold of myself. It's your energy has just like broken through a threshold where it's very, very active. So that's what emotion literally is. It's energy in motion, emotion. So instead of trying to suppress or fix it mentally, tapping is going to allow you to channel and transmute that energy. So you're telling your nervous system essentially it is safe to feel this, and once it feels safe, then it can finally release. So that's why after a round of tapping, if you weren't crying already, you might actually cry or yawn or feel a sudden wave of calm. These are all signs of energy moving out of the body. So you've transmuted that energy essentially into a different form, and it's no longer bogging you down in that way. And the key is to meet yourself where you are. You don't need to force positivity. You just acknowledge what's real and then let the tapping process help you shift it. So you might have times where you're super angry while you're doing tapping, and then at the end of it, you're not happy, but you're just feeling really neutral. Well, it's just really important to acknowledge, like, okay, I have shifted. Something has shifted in me. Like, maybe you're not in the ideal mindset you want to be in, but you have to start somewhere. So the tapping has then moved that anger it's transformed it into something else for you, something a little more positive. So next then is how it helps with physical and emotional pain. So this isn't all just about, it is about mindset in an unrelated way, but that will start to affect you in a physical sense too. Like, I don't know I'm sure a lot of my listeners are aware that, for example, I've heard that anger harbored in the body causes cancer. Like, different emotions will cause different problems for you. Or if you know somebody with like a lot of physical pain, or maybe you yourself are going through a lot of like chronic back pain or something like that, a lot of the time, the reason that these problems linger is because we have emotions that are stuck in our body, and it effectively can't move. So the emotion is asking to be released by kind of making you feel that pain or feel the discomfort or whatever it is. And it's just an opportunity for you to become aware of things that you need to work on. And tapping is a great tool for that. So our emotions and our physical sensations share the same pathways in the brain. So when you tap while focusing on pain, and this is figurative and physical, so either heartbreak or a headache, you're helping your body release the stored tension. And many people find that as they tap, the intensity of the pain drops significantly because the emotion underneath starts to dissolve. Like, I have always been taught, I'm not so good at remembering to do this at the time just because I do believe it works so much, so I don't need like the statistical proof anymore. But if you've never done tapping before, for your first like couple dozen times doing this, get in the habit of always rating your pain or your anger or whatever it is you're trying to like get better on or feel better on or transmute. or transform the energy into something else, like whatever it is that this discomfort or upset you're feeling, rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the best it's ever been, 10 being the worst it's ever been, or something like that, some kind of consistent anchors on either side. And do this before you start tapping, and then do it at the end of your cycle. And you're going to see really very easily how this is actually working. Sometimes you might only go down 1 point. Sometimes you'll go from a 10 down to a 1. Like there's really no like rhyme or reason. It just kind of depends on the intensity of what you're feeling and maybe how long it's been anchored in you and how layered it is. You can effectively release something that's been bothering you for a while though in one session, if just depending on how severe it is. So it's really, really cool. And again, I really recommend that you rate on this scale, especially when you're first starting, just to kind of prove to yourself that this is actually doing something for you. Again, many people find that as they tap, the intensity of the pain will drop significantly because the emotion underneath it will start to dissolve. So for example, if you're holding tension in your shoulders, you might tap while saying, and we'll talk about the stuff you'll say as you do the tapping, but as an example, you'll say, even though my shoulders feel tight and heavy, I'm open to releasing this burden. This blends the emotional and the physical because in truth, they're really never separate. So here is a quick walk through tying this whole process together. Again, I'm going to try to be very descriptive for those of you just listening as we go through and do the actual tapping. But short walkthrough then is step 1 is start by naming what you feel. So this could be anxiety in my chest or anger towards someone specifically, things like that. You don't have to get like super, super specific, but you don't want to call it just like anxiety because there could be a lot of things that you're anxious about. If you could just pinpoint maybe the feeling of anxiety a little bit, it helps your body kind of identify where the anxiety is coming from and where, target that area. So again, that's just how I was taught, and I think it's really helpful. So again, examples: anxiety in my chest or anger towards somebody specifically. And then step 2, rate how intense that feeling is from 1 to 10, 1 being not at all, 10 being like extremely high, the highest it could possibly be. And then you're going to begin on the karate chop point and say something like, even though I feel this anger or this anxiety in my chest, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. You say that 3 times. So we did the anxiety in my chest example. We say, even though I feel this anger or this anxiety in my chest, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I feel this anxiety in my chest, I deeply and completely accept myself. And the first few times you do this, like I remember when I was younger, my dad is actually the one who taught me how to do this. He got certified in EFT and was using this tool on us girls from a very young age. I remember feeling so silly when I was like, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Like that's strange. Like, I don't know. You just like when you're middle school and that just doesn't sound like a very cool phrase to use. So I didn't really love that. But I realize now it's just kind of something you say to get your mind in a certain space. Like you might not even really feel that way at the core, but you have to say it and just kind of like really try to feel in that moment. I really do accept myself. It just kind of gets the channels going and gets you ready for this tapping. So anyway, you do that the 3 times. So you name it, rate it, and then say that phrase, whatever, even though I feel this, whatever it is that you're feeling, I deeply and completely accept myself 3 times in a row. And then next, you're going to move through each tapping point. So that's going to be, it's kind of up to you. You might intuitively know how long you want to spend on each spot, but you're going to want to do the cycle of tapping 3 times. So we do everything in 3s when it comes to tapping. I do anyway. And you move, so you start with the inner eyebrow here. I don't know, I might tap 10 times there. Then I move to the side of my eye here, and I might tap 10 times there. Then I move to under my eye, and then under my nose, then my chin, my collarbone, the inner part of your collarbone, and then under your arm, that bra spot, and then the top of your head. And then the whole time you're doing this too, I was just showing you the tapping. So while you're doing the tapping, you're going to repeat short phrases that describe how you feel. So again, we're doing this anxiety in the chest example. Maybe as I am on this inner eyebrow part, I'm like, this anxiety is crushing me. Move to the next spot. I like whatever it is you're feeling about yourself. I don't think I'm going to be able to get that task done. Next tapping spot. I don't think that I'm worthy of doing a good job. And then the next spot. I am worried that people will look down on me if I don't do a good job. And the next spot, I think people will judge me. I'm scared of that. The next spot, just keep naming these things that keep coming up to you. Like it forces you to get really, really granular as you're going through and bringing forward everything in this example, it's anxiety, but if it's anger, everything that's making you angry, name the way it's making you feel, why you think it's making you feel that way. You feel like it's unfair, whatever it is, it's all valid. Whatever yucky things are keeping you down, please, this is the spot to bring them all out in the open so that you can effectively name it and get rid of it. So that's what we're doing here. We're just naming all the things, naming all of our soft spots. It's okay. It doesn't mean you actually think these things of yourself, but if they have ever subconsciously been thought of in your head, you need to bring that out just because like something in your head is telling you that. And unless you want to keep thinking that about yourself, bring it forward. Let's get rid of that. So then once you do that cycle 3 times, so, and you might run out of stuff to say as you go through, and that's okay. Like I find it's more intense during that first tapping cycle that I have a lot of things to say. And then it kind of gets more relaxing as I go through. And then sometimes this is something I've more recently started doing when I tap, but when I do that 3rd cycle, I'll start to like install like nicer things about myself. Like I do love myself. I'm not so scared of this, things that you kind of want to call into your life. I'll start to kind of like, almost like I wiped the hard drive the first 2 times and I'm installing the beliefs that I actually want to have around this, whatever it is that's giving me anxiety. You can usually intuitively kind of figure it out as you go through. You don't have to do that part where you're installing something, but if you feel like you know what you're trying to do here and you really want to install these new belief systems, you can do that during your last cycle of tapping. Totally optional because, again, I think the main point of this video is just to help you release these limiting beliefs and emotions. That's kind of the main thing. So if all you do is just do your 3 cycles of tapping and name all the things, all the issues that are coming up for you as they come up, that's fantastic. You're still going to release that stuff, and that's great. So anyway, you finish that, you finish your 3rd cycle, and then you take a deep breath, and then you check in again. You do that rating scale 1 to 10, and just notice what's shifted. There's no right or wrong way to do this. The most powerful part is just being present with your emotion while tapping through it. So you might notice you're very, very calm. You might notice tears are coming through. Just if you have a really big emotion that's been bogging you down for a while, more often than not, you might cry when you're done at the end of tapping. And it's just, I've been told that the body energetically will transmute energy sometimes through tears. So it won't even be like a hard sob. Sometimes you'll just have tears like running down your face. That's all great. That means your body has released something. Another big thing that'll happen to me when I do tapping is I yawn a lot. Sometimes during the cycles, I'm yawning. That's literally energy leaving my body. That's not serving me anymore. So there's lots of things that you can experience going through this that you're like, okay, I can literally feel this energy moving out of me. And I know people that, I've had headaches before that I've done tapping for, and I can literally chase the headache. Like sometimes it'll move like down to my shoulder and then down my arm. I'll do another round of tapping, and it'll move locations every time until finally it's effectively gone. So it's just really, really interesting. Like no 2 tapping sessions have been the same for me. And that's the awesome part. You don't really have to know what you're doing here. Your body will just kind of like do it for you. So don't feel like you have to be a professional. Just doing it is better than sitting there and putting up with something not serving you anymore. Okay, so at the beginning, I promised you kind of a simple tap hack. This isn't like anything crazy. You already learned this in this episode. But when you're in the middle of a meltdown or even just a nervous feeling before something big, or maybe you're at work and you get some news that you're not really happy about and you're really angry, or maybe you feel yourself tearing up and you can't really do anything about it in the moment. You literally just have to sit there and kind of like hold your emotions together. If you don't have time for a full session, just gently tap on the karate chop point for a minute or 2. Like just keep doing that, this spot right here. that will move energy just on its own. You don't even have to say anything, just breathe. And so the reason why I recommend this while you're in a work setting is because you can literally do that under your desk and no one has to even say anything about it. And lots of people have nervous tapping habits. So it's like, even if someone did see you kind of at your desk, sometimes I'll tap like this. People don't notice anything. I mean, not that you should fear judgment, but it's like, if you don't want to call attention to yourself, especially when you're kind of feeling emotional, I totally get that. And I've been there before. You just want to just keep tapping until, if you have a moment to take a few deep breaths, that will work really well in its own. So that simple motion alone just tells your body it's safe to let go. And oftentimes you're going to feel your breathing slow down and your heart rate drop and your thoughts will start to clear up. So it's small, but it is very transformational. So in a nutshell, that is EFT, this beautiful EFT or emotional freedom technique that I am constantly referencing in all my episodes. So now you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I tell you to use this as a tool going forward when we talk about different mindset shifting techniques and things like that. So it's simple, powerful, and you can use it anytime your emotions feel too big or your thoughts just won't quiet down. And the more you use it, the faster your body learns that safety is going to be your natural state. So again, if you have a moment, I mean, you can do this in a bathroom stall. I've done that before where I didn't know where else to go and I just locked myself in a bathroom stall and I did a round of tapping. And you can literally do this anywhere. And the more you do it, the faster things will start to move for you. So if this resonated with you, I'd really encourage you to try it this week, like, maybe before bed. It is really calming, kind of makes you tired sometimes, or first thing in the morning, if that's a good time for you. And if you want to follow along with me, again, there's a video version if you were just listening to the podcast, and where I guided you through the whole tapping process step by step. So again, that's either Spotify or YouTube. And just remember that every emotion is energy just wanting to move, and you have the power to set it free. So if anything here resonated with you and you want to learn a little bit more about, tapping, mindset shifting, anything that I've talked about that you're unclear about, please either I have a 20-minute complimentary call that is linked here in the show notes at my website, unveilyou.co. You can go ahead and book a complimentary call there. I have a contact me page that is also on my website that you can go to. You can DM me on Instagram. The handle there is at unveilyou.co as well. Keep it simple. Same Instagram handle as my website. I'm happy to talk through anything because this stuff really is simple. And if you're struggling or you just want to know a little bit more, happy to talk anytime. So happy tapping, and thank you so much for listening today. I hope you all have a beautiful week. Thank you. Bye.